G'day everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Next Level Refs. I'm Strebre Delovski, and joining me today is Peter Green, the Queenslander. How are you, Pete? How you going?
Yeah, good mate. Good to be back. Looking forward to getting stuck into another clip. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, and today we've got two clips to really dissect, and they're from the same game. So we'll number of ingredients here to consider. There's going to be a little bit about advantage. We'll talk about a bit of game management and also a bit of football understanding. So a bit to cover. So we'll get straight into it. Our first clip, and I'll just share the screen here. Okay, so we have a situation here. Okay, this is in a last year's game. Western United and West Sydney Wanderers. West Sydney Wanderers are the white team, 1-0 up in the 65th minute of the game. So we'll play it through and have a look at this one.
Yeah, so we can see Western United pressing pretty heavily on the Wanderers players at the moment. Something happens. And then we've got a pretty nasty tackle. Ooh, yeah, pretty nasty indeed.
Pretty nasty.
Referee Alex King, friend of the show, showing the red card pretty quick. We'll see that tackle again in a minute. And it's got that ooh factor about it. It's pretty nasty.
Absolutely. Greeny, we'll take it back from the start, and then let's just break this down and talk through it.
Yeah, so if you just hold it there for a sec, mate. So as you mentioned at the start, Wanderers 1-0 up, 65th minute of the game. So clearly Western United need to push hard. They've got to try and put some pressure on the Wanderers to try and get that equaliser, and potentially a chance to go on and win the game. So they're pressing high. They're pressing pretty hard at the moment. The referee's positioned pretty well. He, as we move it forward, you'll see that he recognises that press is happening, so he kind of adjusts forward a little bit to get a little bit closer. Goalkeeper plays the ball out the back, but you can see the referee's got a good angle because there's a potential clash there. Then we've got a little incident here, and you can see the referee's got a good angle on it, but maybe he's decided maybe it's a foul, maybe it's not. Maybe I'll just wait and see what happens. And then when we roll it forward a little bit from there, you can see that now he knows something's going to happen because the ball's come between these two players. You can see him crouching, looking for a little bit of angle, and then whooshka, bad tackle right on the halfway line in front of the benches.
And some really good points there, Greeny, going back to the start about that press. Referees need to identify that, need to have an understanding that the team here or the dark green team who's chasing the game at 1-0 down are always going to press. So there's going to be these types of situations where there's potential contact with players. So referees need to be aware. So that referee did identify that press early and started to move, which is important rather than just sticking on the halfway line hoping for a long ball. So that was really good. And interesting point there you made about the foul or potential foul that the referee may have missed, or but something to consider there is this is the white team is the Wanderers, West Sydney Wanderers. This defender's got his back to to the goal, I guess, and in his own defensive half. So something that we should consider maybe here is had he given the foul, and it would have been a pretty easy decision and an easy sell, I think, we probably could have avoided then this pretty horrendous tackle. But let's run it through and talk a little bit about the tackle.
Yeah, and it's probably important to note the location of where this tackle happens, right in front of the benches, bit of a hot zone. So when something big like that happens, you can see the coach of the Wanderers. He's up. He's trying to influence, a decision potentially. But obviously, the referee had the card out nice and early. It shut down any sort of concerns that the players may have had that he hadn't seen it or was not going to adjudicate on it, the way it should have been done. Yeah, look, that's terrible. That's a terrible tackle. That's a potential leg breaker, which no one wants to see. So the right outcome from that tackle, but I think good point, Delo, around that little potential foul earlier on, and and I think you nailed it by saying referees are always trying to look for advantage where they can, but sometimes, as you know, as we know, the advantage in this scenario for the Wanderers, being 1-0 up, 65th minute, they're in their defensive half. Well, you could argue that the advantage for them is getting that free kick, you know, and not trying to play an advantage for a player who's essentially out on his own with no support and no real opportunity to go and do much from, you know, essentially behind the halfway line.
Yeah, spot on, Greeny. And this type of tackle is a leg breaker. It's obviously there's a lot of force. Definitely endangers the safety of an opponent, and you know, correct decision for red card for serious foul play. But you know, we talk about that incident before potentially, but again, consider it's spot on with your point about advantage. Just because you have the ball, it doesn't always mean that you've got the advantage. So just be aware of that. Particularly, a couple of things to consider there. You know, that team, the Wanderers, are up 1-0, so I'm pretty sure they would have been pretty happy with a free kick in their own defensive half in this situation.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, if we'd asked the coach, if we'd asked Rudin at the time, you know, would he prefer that free kick or have his players sent off? I think we all know the obvious answer there. So, yeah, good point.
And also, I think a really good. It was, you know, the referee administered the red card in a nice, calm manner, confident, good strong body language. There was no dissent from anyone. Everyone knew the outcome, had the card out early. So yeah, a really good outcome from a refereeing perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that was the first clip, and again, it was interesting to note if we go back, just look at the time, and by the time that happened, it was about the 67th or 68th minute, before play was restarted. So we will go to our next clip, and play this through. So look at the time again. It's just after that red card. So we can play it from about here. So we have a throw in to the Wanderers, and you know, talk through this, Greeny.
Yeah, so we've got a throw into the Wanderers, as you said, happened just after the restart from that red card we just talked about. So plays in that similar area. It's bobbling around. There's you know, a little bit of push, maybe a foul. Another pretty nasty looking challenge there again. Note right in front of the benches. The referee's seen it, but he's chosen to now play an advantage, and the Wanderers, you know, from their defensive third have tried to go on with it, but lost possession and plays turned around pretty quickly. And the Western United players only now just getting back to his feet after that pretty heavy challenge. So we might take it back and again walk through this step by step. So as we said, from the throne, and maybe just stop it there, mate, and we'll just again, you know, just highlight it's just after that red card situation that we've just spoken about. We're in the same part of the field, right in front of the benches again, so it could still be a little bit heated from that previous decision. And you know, and now we've got play, I guess, bobbling around right in front of that Western United bench. So we'll just keep it going.
Just before we continue on, Greeny, I think we've covered it in a number of other previous episodes around, you know, awareness and match management and football understanding. And you're spot on, mate. Particularly when there's, you know, in front of the benches like this and players are coming in for some tackles, referees really need to be aware of that situation. You know, we've just had a red card, pretty bad tackle. I think both teams are pretty you know, going to be really aware of what's going on from now on. And, you know, generally after this, unless it's pretty obvious, I would probably recommend that referees don't play advantage and really, you know, really grab the game with two hands in this situation to keep control.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, temperatures would certainly still be high, and I think, you know, we see that when we continue on a little bit. If you just want to keep it going, you know, as we said, you know, the ball's moving around, and if we just stop there for a sec, if we just have a look at where the referee is and his movement. Now, the ball's moving in and around this area, and if you just keep an eye on where Kingy is there, he's quite static in his positioning. He's not moving. He's not really getting any angle on any of these potential fouls or any of these players that are coming together. So you can see he's just stationary on the spot. And then just as this tackle is about to be made, or this challenge is about to be made, you'll see him just try and move his body to try and get that angle. And I think that's just that's just because his legs are planted, he's not moving, he's stationary, and now he's potentially not going to have as good an angle on this bad challenge as what he would have liked.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Greeny, and it was also evident also in the first clip. Him potentially looking around the player to try to get that angle rather than moving. So here we saw the referee, to your point, planted for some time and not moving, and then we're looking around players try to having an angle. So that's really key. I think we mentioned a number of times we always need to be moving, particularly after a red card. Something potentially could happen straight after it that could blow up with a massive melee or something as a result. So really need to be aware of these things. But we'll play it. We'll play it on. And then we have a pretty nasty tackle as well, as you quite rightfully pointed out, right in front of the benches. So I guess the question here is, to everyone out there watching, would it be better, particularly looking at the score, looking at the at the time, and again considering this has just happened after a red card, do we see any advantage in this situation, particularly that they're going backwards in this particular incident? So it's a question that we need to pose.
Yeah, you're spot on, mate. And we just spoke about it. So, is there advantage for Western United that they're currently in their defensive half? They're travelling backwards. They've got one of their key defenders now on the ground, potentially injured. Is there really an advantage opportunity here for the Wanderers? Yeah, they've still got possession of the ball, but realistically, what can they really do with it from where they are positioned at the moment? And you're right, on the back of that red card, do we really want to be trying to play an advantage from a reckless tackle that's happened right in front of the benches, for Western United? So, the referee, okay, to his credit, he's tried to let the game flow, but then, as we saw, once that play moved down that right-hand touchline, Western United lose possession. And, wow, can you imagine that if, the Wanderers had then, counter-attacked and a goal had resulted from that while the Western United player was on the ground? I mean, I'm not sure I'd want to be out there dealing with the ramifications
good
of that.
luck. Good luck trying to sell that and having players running at you. But again, going back to this point, it was the Wanderers player that got the red card or sent off, and now another Wanderers player has committed a foul. So if we allow play to go here in this situation, a Western United player, the green player, may want some retribution and then commit a pretty horrendous tackle themselves. So and may feel that they're not being protected, at this point. So we need to be aware of all these things, and we go back to that football understanding and awareness. And when we're considering advantage, what the score is, the temperature of the match, these are all key things rather than just looking at the incident and saying, yep, that's red or yellow, or we're playing advantage. So we'll play it through, Greeny, and we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, so as we saw the first time, referee, to his credit, he's trying to let the game flow. But yeah, as you can see, that changes possession there, and then all of a sudden, Wanderers have turned around. The Western United player is still trying to pick himself and his leg back up off the ground from that previous challenge, and yeah, the ball goes out. Luckily for a throw in on halfway, but
and the referee then comes back and cautions. Yep.
Yeah, spot on. So he has dealt with the situation, but yeah, to your point earlier, would it have been better for him to stop the game at the time of the tackle and just show everyone that he's seen it, we're dealing with it, it's unacceptable, and we're not going to carry on until we've fixed that particular issue. So
okay, that's great. That concludes our, I guess, analysis of two clips. Really good clips. Back to back almost. Regarding timing, same match, same referee. So yeah, like you said, mate, acknowledge that the referee's trying to play advantage and keep the game flowing. But sometimes it's also better to making sure that you keep complete control of the game in these types of situations to ensure that it doesn't escalate and get out of hand.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You're spot on. It's about picking your time. It's about understanding the temperature of the match. It's about the score line. It's about the time of the game, and and adjusting, your decision making accordingly. But yeah, no, look, two really good clips. Thanks, Kingy, for letting us have a look at those. Appreciate that. And yeah, look forward to seeing everyone again next week when we'll take a look at another scenario and hopefully pass on some advice.